Fireside chatting with our people, cause conversation is art. Conversation is art. You man, ain't no telling what'll spark on the Val and Val show. The Val and Val show.
We're gonna try that again. I don't know what happened with that.
I know, right?
You are now tuning in to the Val and Val show, where conversation is art. Conversation is art. Conversation is art. You should chime in. Ain't no telling what to spark on the Val show. Ain't no telling the Val and Val show. You know, ain't no telling where we go on the Val and Val show. Ain't no ceiling, cause the art of conversation is the flow. It's that creativity available when we speak, available in our homes, available in the streets. We just trying to get it sparking and take it a little deeper. Keep it casual while fireside chatting with our people. Yeah, we take it a little deeper. It get hot when we fireside chatting with our people, cause conversation is art. Conversation is art. You should chime in. Ain't no telling what'll spark on the Val and Val show. The Val and Val show.
Woo!
Hey.
That was
what's going on, Val? Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
It's good to see you all, hear from you all, and get chimed in to the Val and Val show. We thank you for yet another edition of the Val and Val show. Conversation is art. So, Val, what's going on in your world?
Woo! A lot.
Oh. Well, I'm hopeful that that is positive.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know what? I'm a make lemonade kind of person. So, you know what I'm saying? So, let me put up the welcome first. See, I'm discombobulated. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Conversation.
Hey, y'all. So, like my granddaughter, hey.
Yeah. You know, and thinking about our decision to kind of go another direction with the show tonight with just you and I being here, which have we done that before, Val? And I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, we did it when I came back from my illness.
Yeah, with your illness, and that was it. But I think all the other we've never done it. We've never done it before, have we?
I don't recall, and if it has been done, it's been a while. So the audience would appreciate it anyway.
But yeah, it's a necessary conversation that we need to have. We got a lot going on in the world.
Absolutely.
And if we don't start becoming a part of the change we want to see, our future generations are going to pay dearly. So that's just where we are. So, Val, you want to tell the people what we're going to be doing tonight?
Yes, and gentlemen, again, thank you all for joining us on the Val and Val show. We're very thankful that you have taken the time to spend with us for the next few minutes to get into something that impacts us all, and that is race. I'm not talking about running a race. I'm talking about relationships. We have been introduced down through the years with interesting things about race relations, and how people look at people of color, or how people of color look at other folks even. It's not one-sided. And we are going to deal tonight with what transpired with Miss Gorman. Miss Gorman is a young lady who wrote The Hill We Climb. And The Hill We Climb was a poem that Amanda wrote and performed at the inauguration of now sitting President Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Well, during that poem, it had a lot of touch points, and those touch points obviously touched some people in the wrong way. And now that particular poem and her materials that she's written has been banned from Dadeville, I think it's Dadeville County.
Miami-Dade County.
What is it?
I think it's Miami-Dade County.
Yeah, Miami-Dade County, Florida. One parent complained about some words that she used in her poem, and the entire body of work that this young lady has done has now been banned. So let's put a
Well,
pin.
actually, Valton, let me clarify
Uh-huh.
something on that. It
Sure.
started out as a band, but then they went back. So now they're saying it's appropriate for middle school.
Okay.
Only.
But they did ban it initially.
Initially, then now it's just out of the elementary school library. However, this parent that complained admitted that she only read portions of it
And did not read reviews.
Yeah, she just went through, probably read somebody else's opinion is probably what she did. But the fact of the matter is that this one parent was able to complain. And I thought about it, in other things, the majority generally rules, and that ain't always necessarily right either. But you have one person to complain and the book gets snatched. But yet we have people screaming for gun reform and other things to change, or don't do voter oppression, and nothing happens.
What begs me to think through this process is this: who is she connected to? Who is this parent that complained connected to?
Oh, you done that?
I didn't do any research on it because I really wasn't interested in doing it, because I was just floored by the fact that an entire board would allow the banning of such. And I'm going to say ban because that's what happened initially. Whether or not they brought it back to another sector of folk is a whole different element. Let's deal with the banning of the material first, because that's what happened first. Yeah. And I think it's a travesty for us to sit down and let these types of things happen, folks.
Mm-hmm.
We had a situation like that in Alabama, right over there in good old Hoover, Alabama.
Yeah.
Where we would spend money and do all types of things for revenue generation in that area of town. I have a buddy, I won't call his name on here because we've had him on here. When the Galleria was built, he said, I'm not spending any money over there because of the way the city of Hoover does business. And, one person can make a difference, as we've seen with Ms. Gorham's situation. But the fact of the matter is, folks, is this: we allow one thing to happen somewhere, it's going to happen again somewhere else. And much like I typically always say, as relates to the NFL and Colin Kaepernick, if the 76 black guys had sat down when Colin Kaepernick was sat down, that would have changed the narrative of the NFL. The NFL are still doing what they do. A lot of folks don't watch them because of what happened with Colin, my frat brother, yo to the Noops. Mm-hmm. And it's just unfortunate that we're so hooked in on the revenue side and we can't do anything. That's why I love the song, God Bless the Child That Has His Own. That way you can be a free man or woman. You can stay in your,
But you know what, Valton? They're making it hard for you to even try to get your own now in America. I mean,
well, I get that. Yeah. I get that. But there's strength in numbers. So we put it that way. There's strength in numbers.
Well, that's the key in our issue, in our community. When I say our community, black people, is getting the strength in numbers. Too often we have, if someone makes it, they don't even think about those that have a desire to make it. And we should be reaching back, trying to help others. Now, you were talking about who this mom was connected to. The Proud Boys, she's connected to them.
Is that right?
Yeah, got a picture of it around. And then the Mothers of Liberty or something, like I'm trying to find my article that I had found. Yeah, I think it's the Mother, Daughters of Liberty. She's connected with that particular group. And I'm just going to be honest with you. When I saw her, I was like, really?
What's her name?
I would have to, let me look at my article and see what her name is. Look, I got so many, I got so many tabs open, Valton.
Yeah.
That I'm having to weed through them. But this is my point, is this one person spoke out, and she was able to do it because of a law that Ron DeSantis put in place, which he's trying to separate himself from it now. It was House Bill 1467, where he required school districts to establish a process which the parent of a public school student or resident of the county may contest the district school board's adoption of specific instructional material. So as a result, this is why this mother was able to do it. It doesn't have any provision to say that it has to be the masses that have an issue with this, but it can be just be one parent to raise their concern. And my concern is this mother didn't even read the information in its entirety. The thing her name is Daily Salinas is her name.
Yeah. And you said she's connected
to the Proud Boys, and I think the other one is the Mothers of Liberty or Daughters of Liberty. But they've shown her with a picture. She took a picture with one of the, I think the one they were at the insurrection in January. She's also a member of an advocacy group, Miami Against Fascism. Proud Boys and Moms for Liberty. It's a conservative group that has protested school curriculums that mention LGBTQ rights, critical race theory, and other issues. She's saying now, of course, she's trying to separate herself, saying she's not a member of either group, that she's only attended their rallies.
Well, if you're not a member of the KKK and just attending their rallies, that's because you don't have a hood, you believe in what they're saying.
And she also posted sometime in the past anti-Semitic posts. So she's apologized for that, saying, apologize to the Jewish community. Of course, I didn't want to do it, and I'm not what the post says. I love the Jewish community. It's always after the fact.
Yeah.
But now I do like Amanda's jump back at it. You know, she came out and she said, I'm gutted because of one parent's complaint about my inaugural poem, The Hill We Climb.
Right. I read that. And good evening, LaSharie. We see you. Thank you for chiming in. Others, please chime in and let us know you're here. Well, here's the deal, folks. We have people who are doing great work. They're shining the light on some dark areas of our lives. So a lot of people don't like the idea of talking about the history, the real history. So they want to say, well, the woke people or whatever you want to call it, or those that's critical race theory. Well, you know what? It was critical of them doing what they did.
Yeah.
That it was putting people on life support, killing people. That's critical behavior. Now, you need to talk about that so you won't repeat that. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it because they really don't give a darn. And so when you got people like this, Daily Salinas, and it doesn't sound like she's much of anybody or look like she's much of anybody from what I'm looking at on this images. She looks like an average POS to me. And
okay, now
what?
We ain't going there now. Okay.
Well, anyway, whatever. So they want to go low. I'm like Candy Burris. I go lower.
No, we don't. And I'm not talking about going higher.
I do. What is it that Melody Holt said? When I go low, when you go low, I go to hell.
No, we ain't do. We're not. That's not what conversations are. Now, let me clap back at you. Yeah, we profess to be Christians, so we don't represent.
We are. But I tell you one thing: I'm not going to be a Christian that's going to roll over on some crap.
I don't roll over either. But it's a matter of how we do it. Now, we ain't doing that.
I don't think she is worth my time dealing with. She's just as I stated earlier. That's my opinion of what she is.
An uninformed person that did not do your research.
So, as I'm saying, she made a comment and got an entire board to agree with her. They have now taken this body of work from this young lady off the rack. The same thing basically happened here in Hoover. We have the marching orders of these folks is to promote themselves, highlight themselves, and diminish others. That's what it is. And if we, as Black folk, people of color, whatever you want to call it, don't stand up for everything that comes our way that looks and doesn't pass the smell test, we're going to fall for it all. And that's going to be a big, big problem, as you stated earlier, for generations to come.
And she even addressed this in the poem. She talks about, if we don't deal with this, our future is going to be, as a matter of fact, she said, and the eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. And what we're doing, I'm going to say, as a country, and she says, we will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be. And as for the critical race theory, in my opinion, and this is how I feel as a Black female in America today, is that, quite honestly, there's more at stake to lose now than it was even back in the civil rights era. Back then, Black people did not have any liberties or any semblance of freedoms. Today, we have some per se, and it appears that there's a great attack to roll back everything that Black people have gained, regardless of what it is, since it's obvious now that America will no longer be majority white, what they predicted now, forgot in about 15, 20 years, that the majority race will be Black people and other people of color. And I'm real intentional in using BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, because out of all the people of color, Black people are still seen the lowest on the totem pole and the most marginalized.
Well, I think it goes along with the fact that we're not very connected. And I'm not talking about connected corporately. I'm talking about to one another. We don't support each other for crap. And it goes back to me pointing to Colin Kaepernick in the NFL. When you got 76% of an organization that looks like the person that they're trying to kick out and did kick out, and none of these people, from a majority standpoint, did not end with this man, the narrative charged forward as they wanted to be written. Now, on the other hand, if they had stood up with this guy, we would now have some NFL owners. We don't have any. That room doesn't look like us when they go and talking and stuff like that. And why is it now all of a sudden, well, not really all of a sudden, but all the time we hear, this is the first Black so-and-so and so-and-so. This is the first Black who's done. Here it is, 2023. And we're still talking about the first Black whatever breaking the glass ceiling to become thus and so. That's a really, really bad problem. And I want to point this out regarding Miss Gore. Youngest inaugural poet in U.S. history, as well as an award-winning writer and cum laude graduate of Harvard University, where she studied sociology. Now, you look at, I don't know what that lady down there in Florida got in terms of her degrees, but I hadn't seen anything where it says that her background was in sociology or she was a graduate of Harvard University. So a lot of times when I'm looking at people making these complaints and all these hooplas on Facebook and YouTube and whatever, I always go back and check who they are. And I'm seeing bonnets on heads. I'm seeing nails broken. You got all your teeth. I'm seeing all these different things about these people, but yet you're talking about how somebody else look. Now, I guarantee you, Miss Solanas doesn't have a degree from Harvard University. But yet she has the authority to step out and say, hey, listen, I don't like what I have read or heard, so let's ban this stuff, and gets the support of people to make it happen.
Actually, not what she read or heard, Valter. What she skimmed.
Well, I mean, however you wish to phrase it, but somehow she's gotten some knowledge to say, I don't like what I'm seeing, I don't like what I'm hearing, and I'm afraid for my little children to be exposed to certain things. And that's the problem. They need to be exposed to certain things. But
let's go back to the Hoover cancellation of this particular author now. And I put this out. I live in Hoover. My kids graduated from Hoover City Schools, and be assured, had my kids been at Hoover, we would have been sleeping. I would have been sleeping on the Board of Education steps. I would have been right there to help them unlock the door the next morning. Now, the interesting thing about this author, Derrick Barnes, he was he was asked to come to Hoover for Black History Month to read his book to several schools. Here again, another mom complained because she went out on his personal social media and said that he was promoting CRT, which, in her opinion, if that's what she want to call it, because he's a Black author writing Black books for Black kids, so they can have self-esteem and feel like they matter. So she came to the board and they counseled him coming. Now, I have cousins out here that have kids. I'm talking about younger kids. And they have a group out here. I don't know if it still exists, called the Black Moms of Hoover. I don't know if it's still on Facebook, but I sent a message to them and I was like, okay, what are y'all going to do? I even asked my cousin. And literally silence. If they did anything, I don't know anything about it. The only thing I do know they did, they sent out a message to say everybody buy his books. And I don't know if they wanted to give them the kids or what, but I think, as you said with Colin Kaepernick, it was an opportunity missed to make a resounding statement to say, we will not tolerate this. Now, initially, Hoover tried to say he didn't follow up on his contractual stuff, and then finally,
I saw that.
Everything.
Yes,
so going back to what you say, Valton. So, do parents, and I'm gonna say Black parents in particular, that come to schools like Hoover or perhaps Vestavia or even Mount Brook or in first over the mountain, feel like, or have they tricked themselves to think that it's different and they're not going to speak out of fear? Or do they think that, oh, I've arrived and so I'm safe, I'm out here in Hoover, so I'm just not going to say anything?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. Let's look at the employment of these people who are in that area.
Yeah.
Who they work for. You know, in that area, you have some major corps. You got BCBS. You have other corporations out there that a lot of these people are employed with, even on this side of town in Birmingham. Now, you raise your voice to say you don't like a particular thing. The next thing you know, you're going to have a harder task at work so that HR can have a conversation with you. And being an old HR director, I understand what progressive discipline is, because I was the one that was calling you to the office when you said certain things that were not in line with corporate policy. So I understand how all that stuff works. And in the back of these folks' minds, they understand too, that if I stand up and say, we want Mr. Barnes here, why can't he be here? Somebody's going to say, just like they did against Mr. Barnes coming to these folks' employer, hey, do you know that Valerie said such and such? I think you may need to look into her background. Do you want that type of person working for your organization? Okay, now you're talking about dealing in somebody's financials, whether or not they can pay their bills in a couple of months if their employment terminates. So a lot of people are scared. That's why I stated about being free. See, what I'm recognizing, Valerie, is this, and folks who are listening. We are training people in colleges to go work for somebody.
Yeah.
We need to be training everybody to go work for themselves. Because if you are working for somebody, you don't know if they're going to get up, and I used to use the old adage, you don't know if what was the guy's name? Donahue is going to say something that's going to trip you out, and you're going to be mad at everybody that have a certain demographic and fire everybody. But if you're working for yourself, you generally create your own paycheck.
Yeah.
You know, and back to the point of the matter is fear. You said y'all got a group, Moms in Hoover or whatever, and nobody said anything other than buy this man's books. Okay, that's not going to solve a problem in the immediate. What that's going to do is show some support on the back end for him. But nobody out in the public knows you're supporting him, because you can go to Amazon.com and buy the book. You can get it.
And they did a group. I mean, not a group. What do you call it? The fundraising thing. What is it called?
GoFundMe.
They did a GoFundMe and raised a lot of money. What I would give my kudos to Mr. Barnes. You remember we had Devin Frazier on I See Me Inc. He requested that they donate the money to her organization. But going back to what you said in HR and all that thing, Belton, as long as you're doing things in decent and in order, your job, then you got a whole nother lawsuit if your job calls you in and fire you for speaking out. Let me tell you what I honestly feel.
That type of thing is hidden. It's buried into a policy.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
no, it's not
be
even. They have UABs. I read UABs, and trust me, I've challenged the CEO before. He's retired now on some things, and I did it in a very professional manner. But I asked what I wanted to ask. But also bear in mind this: I'm this kind of chick. I went looking for a job. I can leave looking for a job. The problem we have in our race, there are no Harriet Tubmans. There are no Rosa Parks. Or if they are, they're very few. Let me say that. Because we are not willing to take a stand. Now, we'll jump on the bandwagon when somebody else takes the beating.
Right.
But we are cowards.
Right.
So
we jump off of that joker when it gets too hot. We jump off it when it gets too hot.
Kids are going to be in dire straits. My 30 and 24-year-old children are going to live in a much more oppressive country than I even did. When I came to Birmingham in 1983 and went to UAB, we had all kind of multicultural things, exposing us to the different nationalities, ethnicities, and races at UAB. And this was in 1983. Somewhere from the 80s to I'm going to say the mid to maybe the late 90s, beginning of 2000, things just started sliding. And now we got a snowball that has just gotten out of hand. Hey there, Floyd Valentine. Thanks for joining us. So at some point, we got to make a decision. Either we're going to speak up or we just going to take it.
Well, I think the decision has already been made. I think the decision has really already been made.
Yeah. Sell your Mercedes. Sell your house. If you had to change your lifestyle to change things for our future, we should be willing to do that. That's the thing. That's what we don't have in our race collectively, to me, are people that are willing to make the sacrifice for the long-term gain. Yeah. We won't even vote out people that look like us that are doing us no good. We let them stay 40, 50, 60 years.
And complain. And complain about them. But we keep voting them in.
But we keep voting them in.
Yeah. So we got a major problem. And it's not just with the Barnes and the Gorman situation. We got other issues, that are heavy. And there are so many people right here in Birmingham that can run for office, and I think they can be successful politicians, but they don't want to be bothered with all the hoopla that goes on when you're running. Folks get on Facebook and talk about how pointy your head is, or you're blind in one eye and can't see out the other. I mean, just some foolish stuff. And people always say, I'd love to run, but I don't feel like being bothered with the media crap that goes with it, And so those who do run, they're doing a pretty good job as to what they know what to do. But we got a long road to hoe on this journey called life, because our kids are killing each other left and right. I mean, boys shooting, killing girls now, just because, So it's a really deep problem that we're having, and it's a lot of self-hate going on. And I don't know how we're going to overcome it. It's almost like they hate us, we hate us, and it was a no-win situation.
Well, it's called internalized oppression. The thing, first of all, if you have high poverty, you're gonna have high crime.
Well, let's ping that right there. High poverty, high crime. There are jobs that are out there right now that says, please come in and fill out an application, come to work. These folks don't want to go to work. I drive certain neighborhoods in the middle of the day. These fellows out here drinking, smoking, shooting the breeze. Why aren't you working? When these kids get ready to get out of school in an hour, they're going to walk by you and you're doing nothing. And that's what they're going to aspire to, be a LJ, what do you call it, L7, a local joker, or LJ, whatever you call them.
Well, but the thing about it, you got to get down to the root cause of how we got here, which, like I said, we have external and internal problems as well. However, the blight that that are in predominantly Black neighborhoods, I'm saying zip code line, and now are a direct result of the system set up to make it that way. You know, even in Birmingham, you had the white flight. Of course, that took the financial structure of it. And at that time, you definitely didn't have Black people with the jobs to shore that up. But on the other hand, you also should be able to have a livable wage here in America. Now, the playing field ain't gonna never be level, and that's something we need to stop aiming for. It wasn't biblically, it was not level. There's always been social economic status in the world, always has been. When I grew up, if you could only afford to buy a Ford or a pre-owned, that was fine. People were fine with what they had and who they were. Now we have this competition of we want to be like them. Everybody want a name brand car, top of the line. But that's the way, unfortunately, the message we have sent that this is what makes you who you are, whereas versus building character in people. That even if you are taking orders at McDonald's and you have character, you're working hard and you got goals, you can achieve what you want to achieve rather than looking down on people who are at a lower socioeconomic level. And that's a tendency of what we would do. Now, it ain't just in the Black race. It happens in other races too.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I had an opportunity to go to this forum a few weeks ago called Courageous Conversations. And I almost didn't go, but my pastor asked some of us to go because he was going to be out of town and he had been part of this panel. When I went, it was at the Lyric. And it was a panel that had 3 white males on it. One was a Jewish leader, Doug Jones, and Bart Starr Jr. was there. And they, first of all, it was a discussion on race, but it was 3 white males there. And the what do you call it? The person that was doing the panel
moderator.
She noted that, who was a Black female preacher from DC. She noted that on the onset. She said, we're here having courageous conversation about race relations and different things. And we have a panel with 3 white males. She acknowledged that right off. So they went on talking about what they thought, you know, the usual back and, you know, this is what we need to do. How can we come together? And they admonish people to go out and get relationships with people that don't look like you, not necessarily only race or don't have the things you have in common. You know, the same DEI conversation.
Right.
Well, at the end of that, I actually went up and had a conversation with one of the gentlemen, which I'm gonna leave nameless tonight because I'm gonna be following up with him. And I said to him, I introduced myself. I told him I was a member of New Rising Star, Pastor Thomas Beaver's church, and I said, you made a statement that said, what can we do to make things better? And I looked up at him. I said, white males can fix this if they choose to. I said these exact words. I said, your European white male ancestors set this system in place. They made white people, particularly white males, more important than anybody else because the white women were not valued either much. I said, so only you and those that look like you can actually set this in order if you want to. And I started him and we chatted some more about something. And he ended up giving me, he said, you know what? I'd like to continue this conversation. And he gave me his card.
Okay, so now let's start with that card. Have you tried to reach out to him?
Actually, I just sent him an email today. And I sent the email today because I wanted to make sure I had time, you know, if he responded. So I sent the email when I knew I would have more free time. So I actually sent the email today to see what for follow-up to see.
I'll be interested to know if to see if he actually responds.
Yeah.
And because I say that because I've seen so many times when they're challenged that they say, here's my card, I want to continue this conversation so they can get off that high seat.
Oh, that's fine. Because you know me. See, unlike the other folk, somebody got to be willing to take a L. I tell people all the time, call me Esther, call me Harriet.
All right, Esther.
Because if we do not get up off our laziness, our future generation, I'm talking about not just black generation, because this is going to pour over to everybody eventually. You're going to have an implosion of everything.
Yeah.
I actually shared, and I heard what you said, Val, about us not being able to get together. And be assured I'm not making excuses, but this does play a role in it. First of all, we're the only race that did not voluntarily come over here.
Mm-hmm.
The Hispanics are together because they generally come together. The Jewish people, even back in the day, the Greeks and all those people, the Statue of Liberty say, give me your tired, your poor.
Yeah.
They came over here welcome. Now the Hispanics, not so much. However, I actually said this to him too in that conversation. I said, actually, the Hispanics now are going to becoming more accepted because they're pulling their monies and they're buying real estate and starting businesses. And I shared with him this. I went back and looked at all the censuses we've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Inherently, who can be counted as white has expanded.
Okay.
It's changing.
Well.
So after a while, it's going to be more added to expand that particular demographic. My question is, what is the problem now that anytime black people get a gain, the rules change, even as it relates to education and all of that, the rules change. You used to not have to have no degrees. And then you got to have a bachelor's. Oh, wait a minute. Now we got to change this to a master's. Wait a minute. We need to make this a PhD. And the only reason it's being done is because we are becoming more educated in things.
The trip.
My son graduated from UAB, computer science minor in math. His starting salary ain't too far from $100K, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But 30% of his salary is going toward renting somewhere to live in Orlando, Florida, because of capitalism in America, that you can just overcharge people.
Yeah.
You're not just making a profit, you're making a profit plus. Then I said to him, I even shared this. I said, now after a year, my son can't qualify to buy a house, but he can pay $2K. $2K.
Mm-hmm.
He's paid $2K for 12 months. He's renting a house. Thank goodness the $2K is going toward renting a house. I said, but if he showed up at a bank after working on his job a year and wanted to get a loan to buy a house, tell me what you think would happen. My daughter, who's a business owner, can't get a business loan. They said, can't your mom and dad co-sign for you? She's been on her own since 2016. Why my black daughter need us to co-sign for her to get a business loan, even though she's gainfully employed?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So here she is, educated in the struggle. And that's why I said to him, white males can change the whole narrative of how people are.
From the banking industry to housing to the whole nine.
Yes.
Yeah.
They control it. Now, yes, do we need to get together? But if all of us decided we're not going to do something, it'll hit them a little while. But they still are the majority.
Right. It's like a running back getting tackled in the backfield, shaking it off, and then getting his feeding under it and taking off running again. That's how that will sting to them. Yeah,
but for me now, I'm very selective in where I spend my money and everything. And I'm going to stay that way. And there are just some things I'm not going to buy. I'll give you a good example. I wouldn't pay to go to Disney, not one dime. Why does it cost that much to go to an amusement park?
Yeah, right.
Because they know we are gullible.
And we're going to pay it.
And we're going to pay it. And many times you're paying it, not just black folks, others too. You ain't even got what you're going to Disney for in your savings account. So, yes, we've got to change the education system so that, to me, we start doing the education system that when you get to middle school, it's decided, are you headed on the college track or are you going to be a trade school track?
Right.
You can come out of school. My brother came out of high school with HVAC training.
LaSharia and I were talking about it the other day. I was with a guy yesterday, and this is what he told me. He said, Mr. J, I want to buy an automobile. I'm graduating from high school this week, and I've got to get a job because it's about to get real.
Yeah.
He said, so then this is what would really trip me out. He said, with the little money I have in my savings account, I need to go to where I used to work. Get this now, and get my W-2. Then I have enough money. I paused and looked, and I said, what do you mean if you go to W-2? He said, yeah, I got to go get my W-2. Then I have enough money for a down payment for a car. I said, what are you going to do with your W-2? You're holding on to your seat. He said, I'm going to go to the bank and I'm going to cash it.
Oh, my God. No, he did not. He didn't know the W-2 form was just evidence of what he had made.
I said, son, you can't do that. It doesn't work that way. So it seemed to me that we have these kids going through 1st through 12th grade, but what are we really teaching them? Do you know how to write a check, balance checkbook, know anything about credit? You know, and I was just amazed that this kid is 19 years old, graduating from high school, but yet don't know anything about what's going on financially. You know,
that is crazy. Well, you know what, Valter, with this, we're saying what's going on in America, you all, and I'm just going to say it, there is a full-fledged agenda and attack to, in my opinion, almost erase blackness in America.
Mm-hmm.
We won't be enslaved on the traditional plantations, but we will be back enslaved at the rate this is going. If you look at it, everybody's rolling back. They want to roll back DEI programs now. It's a problem now.
Oh, that's because they said you all are teaching the wrong things.
Yeah, let me tell you something. If you need to talk about the evilness that your folks did, you need to talk about it. Yeah, and my pastor says this, it may not be your fault, but it should be your fight to correct it. If my child went out and did something wrong and hurt someone.
I like that. It may not be fault. Okay.
I may not be, my child went out and did on their own, they're an adult. But as a parent, I'm going to have remorse. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have remorse. I am not going to be saying, well, I raised them, they grown now. I'm going to be looking at, wait a minute, where this come from? And my kids know I'll be the first one to say, I don't know what was going on with you, but we're not supporting this.
Yeah.
We're not supporting this. Now, am I going to tend to love my child? Yes. Mm-hmm. But if you do some crime, you got to do some time. We're not putting up no house. We'll put up a house if we think it's something you did self-defense. It was protecting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But for
That's different. That's different.
I'm not going to pull none down off no 401k to post no bail for foolery. So I think what white people need to understand is we're not blaming you, but your ancestors created this construct that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
So you have benefited from it because you probably have wealth based off some land that should have gone to some of our ancestors.
Not necessarily should have gone, or you took from them.
Yeah, and you took back. Yeah. Also, the other part of it is, let's talk about reparations. I got a solution. It's real easy.
Uh-oh.
How many years was it? Like 400 years?
Yeah.
How about this? I'm going to even give y'all a cutoff time. Every black person that was born, would 1985 be a good time? I'm just trying to say a good time when things might got a little bit better. I'm just going to use 1985.
All right.
Everybody that was born and was declared black from 1985 on back, y'all just exempt us from all forms of taxes for the next 400 years. See, you won't have to give us no tangible money. Just let us keep all that we make.
Well, that makes sense.
Give us a card. I swipe, I don't pay no sales tax, I don't pay no gas tax, I ain't paying federal income tax, no state tax, none of that.
Yeah. So you
ain't got to give us the money up front.
So you want the Dunn bill to be passed? No tax.
Yeah, I mean, y'all talk. You ain't got. Well, I'll give you something else. My cousin worked for the U.S. Treasury. You know what he said? He said, "Man, the biggest joke in America is about money." He said, "When the United States get in a crisis, he said, we print more money and put it in circulation." He said, "That money y'all be getting, they be talking about we giving y'all." He said, "We print more money. That ain't coming out no savings nowhere. We print more money." He said, "So in essence, if the United States really wanted people to be financially stable, they can just say, deposit X amount of money into everybody's bank account today." Now, biblically, because they want to talk about the Bible sometimes. Go back to the Old Testament. Every 7 years, they used to settle, You know why? You know why they did it? Because they was crooked back then too. And God knew it was wrong. Now, he gave them usury in the New Testament, but they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about overcharging and taking advantage of people. So I got a real solution that just make us tax exempt. Everybody born 1985 in the past, just make us tax exempt. And then we could definitely have wealth. I was thinking about that. We was going to talk about this. Had our race been left alone, not just the known like Rosewood and Black Wall Street, those places. We had some Black Wall Streets right here in Birmingham. In my little community, when I counted up, we had 40 Black-owned businesses when I was a child. So, but I didn't see it as entrepreneurship. That's the community I was born in. So it was normal. It wasn't until after integration, and we supposed to be, one nation under God and all that stuff, and that those businesses closed down. And I don't think so much that the people did not want their businesses, but they really believe, okay, now we're accepted in the United States as people, and we're all gonna get along. And if I do want a business later on, I'll be able to do it. And we know that didn't happen. Now, what I do love about the pandemic, Black entrepreneurship has definitely escalated.
Yeah, there was a map that I saw years ago that showed where the Black-owned businesses were in Birmingham who were traveling. They would say it's a Black gas station here. They would tell you to go there if you're traveling out of state, whatever. Yeah. In Black hotels, Black
restaurants. Green Book.
Huh?
You talking about the Green Book?
The Green Book, yeah. Yep. I got to get my hands on that. It
was a lot. Even my dad was born in 1924. He said he did not realize he was poor until he joined the Navy, because everything that he needed and he purchased from in their community was Black owned. He said, other than some main stuff, but for much of their daily needs was in their community. He said, so I didn't know anything else outside of that. And my dad often said this. He said, we should have asked for integration and stay in our communities to kept our businesses. But of course, our people really felt we've helped build this country, and now these laws been passed, and they're gonna do what's right. And y'all have heard me say this before. Y'all need to get the book White Rage. It ain't the kind of rage you think. It talks about how things are legislated. Like Ron DeSantis passed that House bill. They do it through laws and policies and procedures now. Is how they get these things through. The war on drugs was one of the biggest things. Crack became the demon, and cocaine was okay because that's what their constituents and them were using. Right. So, yes, we do have issues in our race, but there are issues in all races. It's just that ours get sensationalized more and always made to seem worse than anybody else's.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
And
it's really, it's unfortunate, and ladies and gentlemen, please understand that we love we are. Just a place we're passing.
Say that again, Valton. You froze.
We love where we are, but this is just a place we're passing through.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't particularly like, and I'm sure neither do many of you, everything that goes on across the board. And so my personality is lit to a flame that may burn someone by what I say. But what I say
what's going on with you? You freezing up bad
because y'all don't need to hear what I'm saying.
Well, that's right, and that's y'all. I'm here to keep you in check. Now I get lit to the flame too.
But what I'm saying is
back
that
a little bit more than Valton, so I just kind of.
Yeah.
I can pull back a little more. Look, Val, let's touch on this before we leave.
I'm that dude.
I know. I'm that girl too, but look, it's the Holy Spirit. Be assured. Look, my pastor been teaching on letting the Holy Spirit have control of your life. So trust me, I'm trying to submit to the Holy Spirit, but I'm still gonna speak up. I'm still gonna speak up and speak out now. I ain't gonna back down because I'm saved.
Yeah, I feel you. And
I'm not gonna do that. Now, look, man, let's talk real quick about these voter oppression.
And it's Florida State. Are we getting a storm? I'm getting some connectivity issues over here.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah. But as we're wrapping this thing up, folks, we love y'all.
Yeah, Valton, you're freezing up. You're freezing up bad.
Really? Yeah. But we gotta shine the light. We gotta shine the light on things that we know are not good. All right. You call it CRT and all this other stuff. It is what it is. It needs to be taught. It needs to be learned.
It's the truth.
Right. It's true. It's not somebody making up something about slavery. It actually happened. So stop bending your mind toward the arc of correction and do it the right way. Pray about what God will have you pray about, and he will open your eyes. And there's a song, "Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord." And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. With that, and let me add this, Valton. I want to say this as we're ending. I want to say this to white people and any other races that are not Black. Be assured, we're not sitting at home not concerned about what is happening with that in our community. It breaks our heart It breaks our heart right here in Birmingham, even with the recent shootings and everything. And there are people in communities, they have programs, they're trying to reach out to these young folks to give them some hope. But I do know this, if you have been a product of generational poverty, that is hard to overcome, especially when you have a system that if you say, okay, I need some help doing something. Let's say you've been on welfare all your life. And trust me, that ain't only Black folks. But let's just say you've been on there, Section 8. You've been having help. Well, when you decide you want to do better and you make a penny above what's there, that gets snatched away. We don't even allow people an opportunity to get settled so that they can take care of themselves. So what do we expect? But yet, we can build super prisons so we can lock them up, but we can't pay for after-school programs and trade training to give them a skill. Right. So you got to decide what is more important and move beyond trying to maintain one race as a super race and realize that since we say this is a Christian country, that and if you follow Jesus, maybe I need to come out the Old Testament and start studying Jesus, about him. Forget the Old Testament. Come and learn Jesus. The one that said, through love and kindness have I drawn many. It's the one that said, the poor, you're going to have them with you always. Right. And you better take care of them. You better not mistreat them. You should not be overcharging people. Come on, read. Come on with me and read Matthew through Revelation. And then you get mixed up in there, you'll start reading some stuff that's woe unto you if you keep this foolish up, because you're getting by, but you're not going to get away.
That's right.
You're going to stand before if nobody else judgment seat, the judgment seat of Christ at the end of the day. So be assured. So with all these voter suppression tactics, redrawing lines to keep things to your advantage. Don't want people to even give water and food to people standing in line.
What's going on with Flint? Has Flint got that issue resolved?
I don't think so. That's evil. That is pure evil. It is nothing Christ-like about that type of mentality. And it doesn't matter how much you go to church, raise holy hands, and whatever. You're going to be that person that when you stand before the judgment, they're going to depart from me. I never knew you, you worker of iniquity. Now, that's what the Bible says. Right. So I want y'all to start studying the New Testament, okay? And find out what Jesus said about a lot of this
study the New Testament, she says. Study it.
and come out of the Old Testament, talking about masters rule over your slaves and all that. But if you do want to go to the Old Testament, read that part about when he said you shouldn't mistreat.
Hey, and cancel debt every 7 years.
Yeah, do that. Do that. Get rid of student loans. Yeah. Better yet, change student loans and have a fixed low rate interest rate. I don't have a problem with paying it back, but could it be capped at 3% rather than this ridiculous variable rates or whatever they give it, or 10 and 12%?
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
Yes. So I say again, I plead unto the white male. This is on you. You can change it if you want to. And
with that, we out.
Going to watch the game.
Gotta go. It's already 10 minutes in and I'm missing it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been the Val and Val Show. Conversation is art, where we get fiery. And we also have.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to announce our guest next week. I'm sorry. Next week, y'all, we're going to have something a little lighter. We're going to have Miss Elena Pruitt. She's the owner of Healthy Food and Bakery. It's a plant-based bakery. And I can tell y'all, listen, she cooks some good cookies, and that peanut butter is the bomb.
We need to do this in the studio, Val, so we can taste the food.
Well, I told her that we need to be in person.
We can make that happen. We can make it happen next week. We can make it happen next week.
Well, you know what? If nothing else, I can get us some cookies to have.
Let's do that. We'll eat them on the air so the audience can see how good and flavorful they are. Ladies and gentlemen,
I will reach out to her.
Yeah, do that. All right, we're looking forward to you, Miss Pruitt. We're looking forward to you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining Conversation is Art, the Val and Val Show, and we will holler at you later. Peace, love, and toenail chips. Bye.
Y'all have another one.
All right, bye, Val.